You're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RBLR Lightning. As always, my name is Jake Ricker. Alongside me, it's Joe Zamataro and Matt Gannon. Guys, welcome back to the show. Unfortunately, we're on a very long break where we do not have any Lightning hockey, but don't you guys worry. We are here to talk about some of the past games and what's upcoming this week. But first and foremost, Matt, I'll start with you. How you doing today?
I'm happy to be back, as always, back from Davy Jones' locker, keeping with the Gasparilla theme of this week. I was up north. I was visiting some family, but I still managed to catch some what turned into some really great games. I'm really excited to get into this. I think we're all really feeling, itching to get into these.
Yeah, if I feel connected, extra connected, almost as if my background's blending right into yours. It's looking good. Yeah, survived the weekend. Everything went well, and man, a lot of fun all around, especially with the Bolts doing okay. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Had a happy and fun Gasparilla, so that was awesome. Hope everybody else out there had a happy and safe one
Glad
as well.
we could meet up for a minute.
We did. Me and Joe got to get to catch up for a little bit, which was awesome. Joe's pirate costume was 10 out of 10, as you guys saw right here on the RBLR channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the pre-look at our pirate costumes. I mean, what more could you ask for right there? But it was a great. I had never been down to a Gasparilla parade, believe it or not, even though I've been in Tampa for so long. And 10 out of 10 was an absolute blast.
So we didn't really catch up too much after the parade. So where'd you end up spending your time?
So I was at a friend's house for a party, and then I ended up walking 17,000 steps that day, walking around all up and down Bayshore because I did not realize Bayshore, for those who may not know, I mean, I'm sure everybody listening here lives in Tampa. For those who may not live in Tampa, the parade is along Bayshore. Bayshore is a very big road. So the parade is on Bayshore, but it doesn't start till Bay to Bay. So I ended up walking a very long way to get down at the start of the parade and then walked back. But, got the exercise in for the day.
As I say, Bayshore, I believe, still is the longest continuous sidewalk is if in the United States, if not the world.
I think you're right. Yes.
But I mostly walk the parade, help sweat some of the rum off, and it's my feet. I honestly, God, I've broken some new boots. My feet are still sore today.
Mine finally just recovered. Nice. I was hurting for a couple of days, was barely able to move. But the good news is the Lightning, they were moving. Their feet were feeling great because they looked fantastic. And I want to get into some of these game recaps. Some quick news and notes, though, before we get into the games. Hayden Fleury has been activated off of long-term injured reserve, so he is back, which is always good to see the Bolts being more and more healthy on their break a little bit. Nikita Kucherov also earned the first star of the week from the NHL, so shout out to Nikita Kucherov, who's going to be in the All-Star game this upcoming weekend, which we still don't have a lot of details on that All-Star game, which I find kind of weird. I think normally they've announced that stuff by now, but we'll get more into that when we start looking at the couple of days ahead. But some good news for the Lightning. Also, JBB, guys, I don't know if you saw this, but him and his family announced that they are donating $500,000 over the next 5 years to the Ronald McDonald House for charities of Tampa Bay, which is awesome to see the Lightning organization continuing to do what they do and really build and invest into the city of Tampa. So, I just love to see what they've been able to do over the years in building this organization to what it is today.
Do you guys remember what charity Vinny LeCavier would donate to? Was it the Ronald McDonald House, or is it if it's like the Children's Hospital that's in St. Pete? Either way, great cause, and it's really cool to see more charitable work taking place by the organization.
Absolutely. Normally you see owners or players do it. I can't remember the last time I've seen a GM do that. That's actually pretty neat for Breesbaugh and his family. So, good on you. That's why the Bolts remain the best in the league.
Quick Google search. It looks like you were right, Joe. It was the St. Petersburg St. Pete Children's Hospital. It looks like what his went to. There's been a lot of players who have done. Ryan Callahan got his whole foundation here as well. The Lightning are always donating money. They got the community heroes. So just great to see the Lightning are continuing to invest into the community. That's so great down here in Tampa, which has gotten some shout outs recently on Monday Night Football when the Bucks were playing their playoff game. I think we mentioned it here on the podcast too. They were saying Tampa has been revitalized. It's awesome to see it continue to grow. So thought we would mention that here quickly before we get into the games. But two games to talk about in this one. And if you continue the theme of the entire week, this was the week of 6-3 scores, because that's how just about it ended. Well, the all three of them this week did. So starting off with the Arizona Coyotes, Bolts win this one by a final score of 6-3. And the first period was pretty darn interesting, with Darren Radish scoring almost immediately into the game. Arizona eventually tying it, and then the Lightning scored with seconds under a minute to go in that first period. They scored right at the start of the first period, and they scored right at the end of the first period. And even though Arizona fought back a couple of times, the Lightning eventually took over and ran away with this one, winning it 6-3. Joe, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on this game against Arizona?
This felt like a team that, I was saying last week, you got to win this one. This is one of the ones that we should. And they definitely felt like a team that were a little bit tired, Arizona, that is. I believe it was the night before they also had played in Florida down in Sunrise. And the Lightning took it to them. They came with a ton of speed. You could tell that Arizona was back on their heels. They took a total of 26 penalty minutes. That number's higher than I actually expected it to be. Let's see where the power plays are here. So for only 3 actual power plays for the Lightning, of which they converted 1, but you could tell that the Coyotes were really back on their heels, and the Lightning took advantage of it. I really like the way that the team played overall the past several weeks. I'd say almost a month. Pretty much this entire month of January, they've been playing the majority of their games very well, and the times that they're getting beat, it seems to be puck luck. But Lady Luck was on our side with this one, and the Bolts were definitely moving like you were claiming before. It was a good game and a great win.
This was about as good of a game I could have put on for my family, who doesn't really care about hockey. They'll watch it if it's on, and they were gripped to the TV. Like everybody was involved in this game. It had a little bit of everything: chippiness, goals, back and forth. But again, a little bit of everything. And I know the Coyotes are kind of reeling as a whole right now. They're kind of, they had a really good start, but if you think the Lightning are a good home team, Arizona's an even better home team, and on the road they are pitiful. They got beat down by Florida the night before, I think, and yeah, the Lightning just took advantage, and they looked really good. It wasn't a undeserved win or anything. I thought that they, really played to their strengths. I didn't get to see the whole game. I missed most of the first period. I did get to chuckle at my phone seeing another Darren Radish goal. Man, he's making me eat my words each and every day. I'm starting to really turn on him. I'm starting to really like him. But again, just everything you could have wanted out of a game. I don't know. I'm not going to complain about a 6-3 score. It was pretty dominant win, but I don't know. I think Vasilevsky could have had a better save percentage. I think a couple of those goals didn't deserve to go in. I'm not going to post blame on anybody here or there, but I thought they played better than 6-3 in my opinion.
Well, I will say that first goal against was, again, a missed assignment right in front, and unfortunately, Sorelli, again, was the person that ended up being on the weak side that didn't grab the guy that kind of snuck in, and that was I don't know if it's a direct pass or just a rebound where the guy was wide open for Keller's shot, and it's, for as good as Sorelli is and how many plays he makes man-on-man defensively, his lack of awareness for guys that are kind of in his blind spot there has been alarming for a lot of this season. But as a whole, the team's been playing a lot better defensively. So I think it's also something that he can continue to improve on. And as he does, goals like that where, Vasi was completely hung out to dry on, start to go away, and you'll get even better results.
Listen, for what was going on early in the season, we'll take these kind of things, right? Yeah, there are a couple of mistakes here and there that you like corrected, but it's really, really hard to play a perfect 60 minutes. And, they're getting the results right now, and they are playing, pretty decently overall. So it's great to see. I think it was that first goal, Joe. I was listening to the radio for the start of it, and Espo was screaming at the top of his lungs about a slow change that the Lightning made. He was not happy about it. And I think it was Crozier who also on that slow change held onto the puck for a little while. I don't remember exactly what happened, but
yeah, it should have been cleared, and then it
right.
made it so that the Lightning got kind of hemmed in. And again, these has been consistent issues, but the nice thing about having a consistent issue is that you can find a solution to it. When goals are coming from like every different direction on the ice, there's not really necessarily one thing that you can do. So yeah, getting the puck out, but that was also a play by a rookie, and then
Right.
paying attention to that weak side of the net is two major things that I'm sure that they'll be improving on.
Yeah, rookies are going to make mistakes. It happens, and overall, these rookies have been very, very impressive. They've played well. I don't think it was this game. I'm gonna have to figure out which one it is. Remember, but there's a game. Actually, no, it was this game. I'm going to mispronounce his name a little bit. Chafee, though, he got his first goal in the NHL, and the assist came from Crozier and Lillenberg. So all the rookies getting on the score sheet on that one. And I remember there were some headlines going around, or not headlines, but some Lightning fans were bringing up that people talked about, oh, the Lightning prospect pool is not very great. We were ranked very low in all those experts rankings. And then you come down here and you see this line where all the rookies getting involved on some goals. So impressive stuff, from what many people thought was a weak prospect pool.
And I will say, Chafee, he's been impressive in the 2 games he's been in the lineup. He scored in this first one. He played he played again in the New Jersey game, and not that it was a spectacular goal or anything, but he knew where to be, he knew what to do, and just didn't make a mistake on the shot. He got a really good opportunity, and it was a really good shift from everybody leading up to that. So good on the kid. I know we've been talking about Crozier and Lilleberg especially, so I wanted to give him a little bit of a shout out as well. Chafee making the most of his opportunity up with the big club.
As you were talking, I just rewatched that the goal that he scored, and he got a pass right in the slot where no one was near him at all, and he kind of double clutched it. Instead of one timing it, he grabbed it, settled it, and then swung for his shot. And when you play on the ice yourself, these moments where you're like, "Oh, this is a golden opportunity," and you're just kind of praying that you don't choke. I swear you can see that in his shot as he's putting that one in the back of the net. That is a fun one to see. And we've been pretty high on Lilleberg since he came into the to play on the Lightning. He did have one goal against that I think he could have done a little better with. That Crozier turned over the puck almost like basically right in the slot, and instead of Lilleberg doing what he has done pretty consistently and just completely taking his guy out, he got into his spot just on the side of the net there, where we've said guys kind of post up in their system, but overall, these guys have been playing so great coming up. They got sent back to, I think all of them did, right? For the All-Star break, they all got sent back to Syracuse to get some more playing time. I can only imagine how their confidence level is at this point.
Yeah, it's been really impressive, and it's been fun to watch as fans. These guys come up and really help out the Lightning during their times with injuries. Now, the Lightning continued onto their homestand here to wrap things up before hitting that All-Star break with a game against the New Jersey Devils. And we mentioned on the podcast last week that this was a big game for the Lightning. New Jersey is right there in the thick of things when in the wild card race. It was a 4-point potential swing, and the Lightning made sure that they got that 4-point swing. They win this one again, as I mentioned earlier, 6-3 once again. And the Lightning offense really coming through once again. Great start to this one. No scoring in the first period until the second period. Brendan Hagel getting back on the score sheet. And Steven Stamkos, shout out to him, as he scored a 5-on-5 goal. We kind of talked about Stammers, but scoring a lot of power play goals. But he gets a big one here, 5-on-5. So that was awesome to see. Andre Palat also got back on the board. He returned to Amalie Arena once again. That's always a weird goal. It's like a bummer to see him score, but it's also like, oh man, you missed Palat a little bit, but the Lightning end up winning this one 6-3. So Joe, what are you thinking watching this one against New Jersey?
So earlier in the week, they kind of blew a chance against the Red Wings in order to jump some points in terms of the standings. Outside of that game, they played the Boston Bruins and the Winnipeg Jets at the very beginning of this month that they lost games to. Neither one of them really matter for the standings. Against the Red Wings, it does because we're in a pretty hot battle when it comes to this getting a playoff spot. But we're also really tight with the Devils as well, and getting 2 points up on them without allowing them this time to get the overtime point was a huge victory in terms of the standings and on the ice. They played a really great game as well. It's almost as if they continued the momentum from Arizona and just continued pushing.
And Jake, I think Steven Stamkos even got a 5-on-5 assist to this game, which is even crazier than the 5-on-5 goal. So
Very true.
This wasn't as beautiful of a game against Arizona. Like there were definitely some chances here and there. New Jersey made it a game a couple of times, and it's crazy to think that we did escape not escape the first period scoreless, but it just being scoreless. Looking at the final score at the end of that first period, definitely had its warts, but still, the Lightning were in control the entire time, which is kind of a theme we're starting to see as they start to pick up fire and catch other teams in the standings. Is taking control of the game and keeping momentum on their side. New Jersey bounced back with a couple of quick, not deflating goals, but goals that made the game close, and I don't think it really affected the Lightning very much in this game, and especially in other games as well. They haven't let it get to them as much, if you know what I'm saying. I know me and Joe have talked about how how difficult it is for the Lightning, the first couple months of the season to deal with these momentum swings, and it now kind of seems, at least this game was a bit of a microcosm of how they are fixing these momentum swings and either working with it or not letting it work against them. So again, just I know we had 2 empty net goals in this game, but 6-3, we were still the better team throughout the entire game, but I liked what we saw. Again, not perfect, even against this injured New Jersey team, let up a couple of breakaways. Vasilevsky had a pretty squeaky goal get in past him. I think it was the first goal of the game that I didn't really like, but again, I'm kind of searching for things to really complain about. Not perfect, but again, I think this is a building block game, and especially because it is such an important game, standings wise, to play this well and to just piggyback off of the other games you have been playing this week. Very happy with this game and, looking into the future past the All-Star break.
And it was the second goal that you're talking about on
Was
the
it?
rush with Jesper Bratt, and he shot it and it just kind of like went under Vasi's arm and barely rolled in. The Palat goal, and just kind of touching back on that, for those that have been watching for a while, it seems like a theme that former players end up scoring unless you are named Patty Maroon, I suppose. I mean, because even oh shoot, on the Wild, what's your boy's name, Matt? What's his name?
Bogosian?
Oh yeah,
Bogosian?
Bogo.
How
Even
dare you
Bogo
forget
scored.
Bogosian's name?
I'm offended.
Even he scored on the Lightning, so it just felt kind of fitting that Palat would get it as well. And then that was a little bit of a squeaky goal, but the game didn't end there. The teams continued to push back, and 42 shots is a lot of shots to be putting on the Devils, even with their injuries, which they still have a ton of, and they handled those momentum swings really well.
And credit to Vasilevsky as well. I think it was the second period we outshot New Jersey like 12-4 or something like that, and especially in the later stages of that period, New Jersey wasn't getting
19.
any chance. 19?
19-4.
Wow. And in the late stages of that period, Vasi wasn't, getting any action at his own end, which is always pretty great. And then I think it was towards the end of the period, he had a breakaway save or something like that, and he had a couple saves at the end of the period. So him just staying fresh, staying frosty, and keeping us in a big flurry like that after not seeing pucks for pretty much 20 minutes or so. So good on him for that.
I mean,
I thought he played great.
Yeah, talking about Shafee last game where you kind of get really big eyes when you have that puck directly in front of you, and then all of a sudden you've got this amazing chance to score. It's almost the exact same as a goaltender. If you haven't seen any action for a while, and all of a sudden there's a breakaway, you get really big eyes, and now all the action's heading your way, and it's a huge moment. And I mean, that's what makes him like one of the best goaltenders of all times, because he handles that, especially in previous seasons where the Lightning would just completely dominate puck play, puck possession. He wouldn't see anything for a while, and then all of a sudden come up with a huge save, which is really, really difficult as a goaltender and good on him.
The big eyes analogy works great for Vasilevsky.
Very true. Yeah. Well, I mean, and this is a guy, again, we've said this a couple of times now. He's just coming off back surgery and he's still making these unbelievable saves. It really does blow my mind at how impressive he's been, even after suffering such a major injury, having a major surgery like that. But the Lightning have been fantastic. They have only lost one game since the start of the second half of the season. So they're playing great hockey. They're sitting third in the division right now, I should say. And, you know, even though there are some teams who still have games in hand on the Lightning and can pass them, they're sitting in a much better spot than they were just 2 weeks ago now. And to give you an idea about how big that New Jersey game was, New Jersey has 3 games in hand on the Lightning. If New Jersey had at least gotten an overtime point in that game, they could be sitting at 58 points if they won the 3 games in hand, 1 point just behind the Lightning. And that's a big difference than the 2 points it would be right now, even if they won all 3 games in hand, which is, still hard to do. But so those are big points, and they're sitting in a much better spot than they were. It's still a very tight Atlantic Division race and just not wild card in general. But I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling even better now. The Lightning position, the way they've been playing, it's been impressive stuff.
Well, I mean, if you win, you only lose 3 games in an entire month, you're going to start moving up some rankings. And
Yeah.
other teams have started to catch up. There's a few that are a little bit of a conundrum, but I think it's also a games played thing, which is Pittsburgh Penguins. Typically, if you want a rough view of where teams should be, anyone that has a positive goal differential typically makes the playoffs. Anyone that doesn't typically does not. And right now, they're the only team that the Pittsburgh Penguins are that have a positive goal differential, and it's a decent one. It's plus 12, just for comparison. The Lightning are plus 11. But then the Philadelphia Flyers are in third place in the Metro with a -1. They also have 3 games played more than Pittsburgh, so I expect that to fully flip around and then kind of find its normal place in the way the world should work. Lightning have done a really good job of turning the ship around right in time for Gasparilla to get back into the stands, and not just for wild card only, to actually have a place in the Atlantic.
And
the Lightning did have a negative goal differential, didn't they? Before the start of that, they were down, it wasn't big. It was negative only by a couple of goals, but now they've moved themselves into the plus 11 now.
It's funny watching the last couple broadcasts. You see they'll show the little stat at the bottom where it's like a first period goal differential between the two teams, and our negative number keeps getting smaller, which I guess is a good thing. So it's funny seeing that creep up, and the overall goal differential, of course, good to see that number going up as well. And I want to say the Lightning are I think they're the team with the second most wins in the month of January, only behind a team called the Edmonton Oilers that haven't lost a single game this new year. That's pretty good competition. Yeah, seriously, they deserve a pot of their own right now. They're playing great, but if you're the second best team compared to them, that's pretty darn good.
I hear they just got some additional veteran leadership on the team too.
Yes, noted. What did you say in the chat that you were dead wrong about Corey Perry?
Oh, I didn't realize. I didn't. Well, I was going to say, I thought it was that I didn't realize that Edmonton had a huge.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was like, oh, they were struggling earlier. I didn't pay any attention to their stats for a few weeks, and all of a sudden they're a dominant force.
Yeah, that was too funny. Now, hopefully Perry can get in there. I don't know. I'm cheering for Edmonton. I'm cheering for McDavid, and I'm cheering for Corey Perry. Of course, not at the Lightning's expense.
I mean, pump your brakes a little bit, but but they're still fourth for the wild card, so they got a little bit to go, but they're obviously really charging ahead full steam.
Well, if
Playing
LA
well.
keeps playing the way they're playing, I don't think that'll be an issue for them.
A lot of interesting storylines heading into this. We say second half, the letting of pass second half in games played, but the All-Star break usually feels like that second part of the season. It's right after the second half of the season officially, but a lot of interesting storylines coming up here as we approach the trade deadline and after we exit the All-Star break. We talked about some of the great hockey that the Lightning played this week. So let's go to our 3 stars of the week for guys that deserved it. And this was another tough week because there were a lot of players that we could have put on this list. So Nikita Kucherov's 3 stars of the week, because Kucherov was just so good. We could put him on the number 1 spot every single week. But we got to go out with some other players here. So number 3 star goes to Victor Hedman, who once again had another great week. He's really starting to come out of on his own. We talked about he was struggling a little bit earlier in the season, but this week, 5 assists and was a +3. So impressive stuff. That's actually including the 1 game beforehand. But great stuff from Victor Hedman. He gets the 3rd star of the week. Matt's, your thoughts on the big sweep?
The only thing I can think of is me fleecing my friend in fantasy right now. Of course, this trade has turned out perfectly. Victor Hedman is really, he was putting the points up early on this year. It wasn't any surprise, Victor doing Victor things, but the defense is really starting to show up as well. That was one thing we've all been pretty concerned about with this season so far. And he's really starting to turn things around. Again, just the team in general defensively is starting to turn things around from top to bottom. Hopefully when some guys come back, it can carry on that way. But Victor Hedman leading the charge as always. He got his 700th point the other night, which is an extremely cool milestone for him. He's firmly cementing himself as one of the best, not only Swedish defensemen, but Swedish players in NHL history. I hope this guy is a bolt for years to come.
And that 700th point came as a primary assist, too. It wasn't like it was just a secondary, sending the puck out of the defensive zone and then everyone else does all the work. It was a really, really crisp pass to the slot. Was that on Braden Point's or is on Hagel? That's on Hagel's, right? Do you recall?
I can't remember off the top of my head. He had so many assists this week.
I got it here. It was to Paul. It was to Paul, a slap pass right to Paul. That was kind of in the high slot, or I guess middle slot, who deflected it right into the net. So it was a play that, I remember when Stamkos was searching for his one of his milestones. Was it his 1,000th point or 500th assist? He was really wanting to make sure that it wasn't some weak secondary one, and it's good to see for Hedman getting his that he ended up doing something that was notable for his point there.
Victor Hedman had a great week, but hey, another guy who also played extremely well this week, and we've talked about a couple of times now, is Braden Point, and he gets the 2nd star of the week. Braden Point, in these games, he had 3 goals and 1 assist for 4 points and was a +4 in just the 2 games played. So Braden Point really starting to come alive. We talked about early in the season how, he wasn't able to get on the score sheet nearly as much. He was still playing well, but now the offense seems like it's really starting to flow for Point, and it's been a lot of fun to watch, and he's really starting to play well. So, Matt, your thoughts on Braden Point?
Well, kind of the same thing with Victor Hedman, where, they don't really look like themselves to start the year, but even though they're still putting up goals and points, something is kind of off. Well, that off is wearing off. Braden Point is starting to look like who we all know. And he was somebody who I remember us talking about a few weeks ago, just kind of looks like he's I don't know, not disinterested, but just doesn't look like he's using every tool in his repertoire. And now he looks like he's that guy. He's shooting it off the rush instead of doubling back. He's splitting defenses instead of doing that double back thing as well. So he just looks like he's really feeling himself. And, he's got a lot of mojo right now, connecting very well with Kucherov. And, that's easy. And Stamkos as well. Just a guy who's really starting to catch fire at the correct time. And I've gone all this time without mentioning that he's also on my fantasy team. So this little stretch right here is great for me. I'm super excited. But no, even in the actual games, he looks just very different this week. And yeah, again, had a great week. Looks like the guy we all know.
And I'll admit that in the New Jersey games, they weren't the most impressive goals that he's scored, but they're extremely opportunistic. In order to get in those sort of positions, you really do have to work hard. And even the goal against Arizona Coyotes, that was one where he's flying down the left wing and ended up shooting one over the shoulder of the goaltender. And we haven't been seeing so much of that this season, and now he's starting to step more into a form that we're familiar with. And let's face it, a lot of the goals that he scored last season were power play goals, and because that was so notable for other teams, they started covering him up in his bumper position when we have the power play. Which, I mean, guess who's been scoring because of it? Nikita Kucherov has a little bit more room because they're dedicating somebody to Braden Point or trying to make sure that at least the passing lane's not there. So his effort on the ice is starting to show a little bit more with it, with the presence of his skating, where before it, you could say it was just literally his presence is something that other teams would notice. And he's another one of those guys we started calling out and started doing better. So it's nice to see him have a big 4 point and 2 game span here.
Well, all of these guys were extremely impressive, but another guy who's also on the power play and scoring a lot of power play goals, he's the guy who gets our first star of the week, and that's the captain, Steven Stamkos. He also hits a milestone at 1,100 points, so continuing that most points in franchise history record, putting that even higher as it is, and the captain coming through in big ways for the Lightning. It's been really nice to see him get going as well. Everything we say get going. I mean, the Lightning have been playing decent, but just this last week has been so impressive. It feels like everybody has really taken it to that next level. But Stamkos especially impressive this week, and he gets the first star. Joe, your thoughts on the captain?
Yeah, I like the storylines angle of this as well, where started to call him out a bit for not having 5-on-5 points, and he immediately starts answering back. It's really fun to notice these sort of trends, and then to see them completely change as well, almost as if people are listening to the podcast, taking notes, and then changing their game. I know, obviously, that might be a little bit of wishful thinking for professional players, but it kind of does show that there are trends that are happening, and you can guarantee that the coaching staff is taking note of them as well. And the fact that Stamkos has joked about his plus minus this season not being the best, and then he goes in, gets some even strength points, plus it's milestone setting points as well. It's cool to me with the way that the storylines are running.
It really is looking like somebody's listening to this podcast. The way that I'll be talking down on Darren Radish, and then he goes, and now he's got 5 goals since I was harping on him. He's playing great. Stamkos and Hedman and Point are all picking it up. I mean, of course, I've never said a bad thing about Kucherov, but these guys are listening. So whatever we say, the opposite happens. So, but as far as Stamkos goes, I mean, a good week for him, a great week for him, actually, hitting that 1,100 mark, just cementing himself, further and further concreting himself as the greatest player in Lightning history, the face of the franchise. And yeah, I think it just goes without saying. Even strength assist, I mean, he's definitely deserving of the first star of the week just for doing that. But again, I wasn't all that amazed with his play this week, but a huge milestone definitely gets him up here on this list.
Well, there you have it. The Nikita Kucherov 3 stars of the week. Let us know in the comments below if you agree with our list, if you would have changed it up. We'd love to hear your thoughts from you guys in the comments below right here on YouTube. And now I want to talk about All-Star Weekend, which we've got coming up here in just a couple of days. We got 3 days, which is a little bit different this year. They're bringing back the All-Star Draft, which they used to do in years past. Joe, you're rocking one of the great jerseys that the All-Star game had when it was here in Tampa, one of the much better ones. I don't know about you guys, but those ones this year, definitely not my favorite. I'll tell you where you can get some nice Lightning merch to rock for All-Star Weekend, though, and that's shop.rblrspots.com. And the best part is it's not just Lightning-inspired merch, but Bucks, Rays, Rowdies, you name it, we got it. And you can head over there and use code BOLTS to get 10% off your order. Links, as always, are in the description. Go check it out. I think you guys will really like some of it. But speaking of All-Star Weekend, still not a lot of information out, which feels kind of weird. So it starts on February February 1st on Thursday, where they'll be having their draft. They're also doing some alumni man of the year. They're also having the Women's Hockey League 3-on-3 showcase, which I didn't even know they were doing this year. And then on February 2nd is when the skills competition is, and the 3rd on Saturday is the official game. To my knowledge, nobody's been announced on who is doing what where. I'm not sure if that's happening in the draft, but some different things this year for the All-Star game, and Kucherov will be there to represent the Tampa Bay Lightning.
So I don't know what different they're doing this year, but I think depending on what team you get drafted to, the captain or the whoever is going to decide who is best for X activity, because they're switching it up this year. It's not.
Oh, is that how they're doing it? Okay.
Yeah, because it's not, a group of guys do this, a group of guys do that, a group of guys do this. It's kind of tournament style, I believe, this year. Like there's going to be, I don't know exactly how they're doing it, but they are switching it up this year. I do like the fact that they are switching it up. I mean, how monotonous, how boring and kitschy has the All-Star game got. So I'm glad to see them switching it up. I don't know exactly what they're going to do. But I'm really excited to see how this all goes. I was never around for the All-Star drafts anyway. That was before my time, so I'm excited to see my first. I'm pretty much only going to cheer for the team that Kucherov goes to, I guess. I think that's how we're all kind of feeling, especially if he's not, in the Atlantic.
I got to call this guy out. This guy's a liar. He cheers for so many superstars on other teams.
Any of the guys on his fantasy team,
whoever
that's what he's really cheering for.
This does not matter to my fantasy league, so they're all dead to me. I might be cheering here and there for other players, but again, I'd be mostly cheering for Nikita Kucherov to whatever team he goes to. But again, I'm very excited to see what they do with this, updated version of the All-Star weekend.
It's a little strange. I mean, I understand it's hard to completely hold people's attentions for the entire weekend, and maybe not a lot of people want to watch the draft, but more will want to watch the All-Star game. And I guess this weekend, does it go up against the NFL All-Star?
Pro Bowl.
Well, you know what? Yeah. That's probably why it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because the Pro Bowl would be on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken.
And then probably, I think they might do like a skills on Saturday evening for Pro Bowl somehow.
I will say the skills competition, I think other fans will say this, is the NHL is actually one of the best when it comes to the skills competition. The NFL has struggled with that for years. But yes, the Pro Bowl, I think, is on Sunday, which is probably why they're doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Well, at any rate, it's a not wanting to compete with them at all, because the All-Star game is actually at 3 p.m. on Saturday. So
there you go.
It's real early, and I mean, I can understand it from marketing standpoints, but I do kind of like the full long weekend. At any rate, it's a nice rest for some of our Bolts boys, and I have a feeling that Kucherov does not take this very seriously either. So we can root for him all we want, and like in years past, he'll be out there just trying to have fun in whatever capacity that means.
I know there's a couple of weird captains this year too, the way they're doing it with the drafts. Like it's a player that's a captain, and then they have a celebrity captain, one of them being Justin Bieber. I don't know how that's going to go. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, and fair for Bieber, he's a big hockey fan. Like he's huge. He's Canadian. And that's not as bad as some other people you could select.
I actually do like the captains, like who they chose this year. I don't really know who Tate McRae is, but all the others, it was Michael Bublé and Will Arnett. I think those are big draw names, and Tate McRae as well. So I think that's a very rare good job from the NHL, attracting big stars to attract other fans that aren't fans of the NHL to see what these guys are doing at this little hockey game thing. So I think that's a pretty good job from the NHL. And also, you said a weird captain thing with the alternate captains, whatever they're calling these celebrities, but it was Jack and Quinn Hughes.
I was just going to say that all the teams have one captain and a celebrity captain, and then there's the Hughes brothers who are both captains, so they're co-captain. Hey, it could be fun. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I think Jack ended up being the celebrity captain because he's technically injured and he's not going to be playing, but he's still attending.
Well, yeah, they only announced his replacement today. I forget who it was, but I know their captain or they're not the coaches, are they? Because they also do the celebrity coaches. This is all weird, but I know it's Michael Bublé is their partner, I guess
he
I'll
was
say.
the original celebrity captain, although maybe now it's just going to be the one since the other one's hurt. I don't think they've officially said that.
You're going to have to drag Michael Bublé kicking and screaming away from a Canucks
So-
player, man. He loves his Canucks.
So here's a plan, guys. How about we reconvene in like 1 week and we can dissect everything that we saw and everything that transpired, including how all the captains work.
No.
There you go. I think that's that. All right. Well, I think that's a great plan, Joe. And if you guys don't want to miss out on that episode, you can hit that like and subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications so you don't miss out on that future episode coming up here for. All right, let's take a look at what's coming up for the Lightning. Well, actually, I should say this. Nothing's coming up for the Lightning. Because they put the schedule ahead. There are no games. They've got a long break coming up for the Lightning, but we will definitely get ready for that All-Star game. And I think that's going to pretty much do it for us in this episode. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Go Bolts.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.